Fair enough. We're
All
set.
right.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So what I want to do, Mark, is first thing obviously we have to do is we got to set a goal together. Um, we talked a little bit, but I want to make sure we're clear on our goals. I think some of the things that I look at as being realistic goals are number one, we want to gain national recognition. We also want to help build local chapters. We want to recruit volunteers. We want to get people to go to the social media page. And we want to get donations, okay? So you don't have to pay for all this out of your own pocket. Get people to make contributions.
Okay.
Always makes it a lot easier for you, right?
Yeah.
So I look at success, and you may have some things you want to throw in, but I look at success of getting you some interviews, getting you in some publications, getting you more followers, adding volunteers on a regular basis, and building the chapters and getting the donations, all the things that we talked about. That to me would be success. You may have some other things that you want to throw in there, and that's fine. So how do we plan to succeed? Well, number one, I want to do a national PR campaign. I like the idea of doing YouTube videos. That's how you found me. Social media, we love social media, very effective. And maybe even some targeted digital ads. Okay, so the key elements in our strategic PR campaign is number one, we want to hit our target audience. So we can go through a number of keywords to find that audience. We want to set realistic goals, that we'll share. You'll tell me, hey, Tom, I want to add so many members. I want to, be in so many, you'll share with me what you want to accomplish, and I'll tell you if it's reasonable or not.
Okay.
We want to develop a message. We want to stay on that message, of course. We want to stay relevant. That means we want to be consistent, whatever we do, whatever budget we set. It's got to be something that they're seeing on a regular basis. And of course, we need to choose the right media platforms. We got to create the right strategic, creative angle because in order to get stories in an internet site, on the web, in some way or another, there has to be an angle. And we want to write an exceptional release, and exceptional releases forthcoming. That's obviously something that always gets an editor's attention if they see something and they say, I got to have that. I love that story.
Yeah.
And we got to distribute wisely. We're not going to do a mass blanket of the entire United States, but we're going to do a blanket of the United States in the key targeted areas that we feel would be most effective. And obviously, we already have a mass distribution list. We may even want to engage upon PR Newswire to even enlarge that and assure us, like 100 hits every time we send out a release, 100, 200, and 300. I've generated thousands of hits on different websites across the country through PR Newswire.
Okay.
So smart distribution would be outlets in relevant markets to us, have proper data for relevant journalists. We've got data of who the right journalists are, ones that cover politics, ones that cover crime,
Yeah.
ones that cover legal. We've got all the names of all the right people that we need to go through.
Okay.
And, we got to develop that powerful release, as I said. Get the media to say, I must have that story. Creating relevant quotes, getting quotes from some of your, for the people that you're associated with, maybe even testimonials from some of them. And develop a message with that creative angle, as I said, get the media's attention and create a strong editorial hook.
Okay.
The target audience, we must determine the persona of our audience. I kind of got an idea who your audience is, but we'll go deeper and find that exact audience, and then we'll select keywords to target that audience. And, we'll start with a big picture goal of what we want to achieve, and then we'll narrow it down to incremental goals. And obviously, budget will take a lot of that into account. I mean, I can get a lot more done quicker if I'm hitting more places.
Yeah.
Media opportunities, TV stories, media interviews, special boosted posts on social media, CTV, OTT, which is streaming video sources, podcasts, and YouTube videos, just a few of the media opportunities. I'd like to create a monthly newsletter where we do monthly blasts utilizing our opt-ins from Facebook, YouTube, and other media, and we can write those and distribute those for you. You got so many media options out there, but we're going to narrow it down. But you got Google, pay-per-click, banner ads, Pandora, video ads, CTV and OTV, which I told you about. I love YouTube. That's how you found me. Facebook ads, TV, radio. Those are all options that are out there. I told you a little bit about CTV and OTT. That's connected. It's connected to TV devices. All the TVs have smart TVs today. So these are the videos that stream in a lot of the different apps that you watch. I got smart TVs all over the house, and I got apps loaded in them. Netflix is one of the most popular apps, but they don't stream commercials. But Hulu does, and Roku does, and there's just several of them. OTT is over the top media services. Those are the videos that you see when you go onto your favorite news story on your phone, and all of a sudden you got to watch a video. So there's a lot of that content out there. I use Hearst Media, one of the largest media companies in the world. And, we use them as a partner, and they got thousands of different places where they can drop these videos. But one of the ones I want to focus on is YouTube. YouTube is great because we can get consistent leads. We can send our customers through a funnel, and we can talk directly with them, sign them up, tell them what they're going to get, or just get them to sign up, one way or the other. We've got all these funnels built into YouTube ads where we can build relationships. And the great thing about YouTube is you only pay for somebody that watches your video. First 5 seconds, they can skip your video. When they get to 30 seconds, if they keep watching, you pay. So we call that a view at that point. And generally, you're looking at about 10 cents to 30 cents a view. So generally speaking, if you have $1,000 budget on YouTube, generally if you have $1,000 budget of views, then and you're getting 10 cents per view, you can figure out what that's going to cost you. But it reaches a relevant audience because we put in keywords for YouTube, keywords that are specific to the people we want to reach. Okay, and we can reach income brackets. We can reach interests. People have an interest in politics. People have an interest in corruption, crime, things like that. There's thousands of keywords, and we'll probably end up narrowing it down to maybe 100. And we can select our audience. And it's just such a great medium, YouTube. It's one of the hottest mediums out there right now. And as I said, you only pay for people that view, and you reach people by your own topics.
Yeah.
And you can reach them in geographic areas. If you want to reach people in Alabama, because we think Alabama is going to be a big market for us, we can do that. Facebook is another medium, very similar. I don't think it's as good, but you can still reach a wide audience. The cheapest form of advertising. You got a full funnel through this process, audience transparency. It's measurable. Everybody provides analytics. You get competitor targeting if you want. We can do that also with YouTube. And the great thing about Facebook, it's fast. I can get an ad up today for Facebook and have it serving in hours. They take a little longer, especially political content, anything politically oriented. They give you a little grief. They may make us file with them to do political. We're already a registered customer for our political campaigns, but they're beginning to be a pain in the ass to do business with day by day. Yeah. And everybody's finding that right now, especially for politics. But bottom line is they drive traffic directly to your site.
Okay.
All these mediums are giving you digital ads that are trackable with analytics. Yeah. We can see who's seeing our ads, when they're seeing them, how often they're seeing them, what ages they're seeing, what part of the country. Just great stuff that they provide for us that makes them both very effective mediums. So let's talk about how much this stuff's going to cost, okay? And what we did is we put together a couple different plans for you. One is Plan A, which is like the Rolls Royce, and the other one is a lesser plan, but still very effective. The first one would be $5,000 a month to me, but by the time you pay for the content by paying for public relations, which is one area, which I'll do, that's part of what I do. Facebook boosted posts, CTV and OTT, YouTube ads, and the newsletter. So I figured, you probably pay me about $1,000. If we wanted to go on the national wire, we pay them, figure $1,000 on the complete U.S.
Yeah.
Maybe $1,000, about $5,000 advertising for the other medias.
Okay.
CTT, you put $1,000 into that. You put $1,000 into YouTube. Put $1,000 into Facebook, and maybe $1,000 into national distribution, and that's the full-blown plan. It's going to take you up to maybe as much as $10,000, but you don't have to do all of that. What you can do is a simple plan where you pay me $2,500. I do just the PR, developing the message, creating the release, distributing the release, and doing the interview follow-up. So it'd be basically a $2,500 PR campaign, or a campaign where we add some advertising into it. And the advertising is something you can select from. You don't have to do the ones I suggested. You may say, hey, I like the idea of this streaming video. Can you show me more on that? And then I'll take you to the next level on that. And I'll do the same with Facebook, or YouTube. I'm doing YouTube right now. I got to tell you this. When I did $200 a day, I couldn't handle the leads. I really could not handle the leads.
Yeah.
Because I got to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And then I got to follow up with a proposal, and then I got to talk again, tweaking. So my process takes 5 hours on a client just to set that client up.
Yeah.
Yours would take a little time, but not as much. If you did a YouTube video and you talked to them and you set up the, people you're signing up to lead your chapter, for example, I want you to handle Nevada. I want you to handle Alabama. I want you to handle Louisiana. You start setting up heads for each of your chapters. Right. You may want to spend a little time talking to these people.
Yeah.
And so that would be the initial conversation, and then they become perhaps a chapter head and a regional chapter leader, and various different levels of that funnel that you can take them through.
Okay.
Publicity.
Before you move
Richard
on,
Branson. What's that?
Before you move on, let me ask you. You had a bullet point there. Develop messages, and what are we talking about there? That's messages for a press release, or messages for a newsletter, or what does that look like typically?
All of those.
Yeah.
Okay. I would create the messages for you for all of the different areas. In other words, if you first start with the press release, okay, I write the press release. Then we would go with the media messages. If I want to create a YouTube video, the sweet spot on a YouTube video is 4 minutes, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a whole procedure on how these videos are created. There's about 10 steps. I didn't include those in here, but we follow a pattern. I've been writing copy for 50 years.
Okay.
But this pattern for YouTube is a slower pattern.
Okay.
It's a different pattern than a 30-second commercial.
Oh.
It's a 4-minute message. So I'd create all of those for you with your approval.
Yeah.
I'd create the newsletters for you. I'd create the ads for you. Okay. And so, you know, and again, I know your message, but we're going to have to tweak it, obviously. I mean, you've got a website.
Yeah. I'd really like to come up with a new website, but what we have is fine for now. Things are always in development, right? So
Sure, absolutely.
But yeah, there's a number of different angles we can take on the messaging, so I'd have to give that some thought. I think probably conveying the general concept of who we are and what we're doing and what we're looking for. You know, we're the watchdog for America, and people have had enough, and it's time that we band together under one organization, you know, and preserve our values, our heritage, our traditions, that kind of a message, you know.
Now more than ever, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, we're getting
there's
people
never
that
been
are
a
so
better
pissed off.
time.
People are so pissed off right now. What's going on? They're just, you know, blowing steam out their ears.
Yeah. I mean, your message right now is probably more relevant than at any time.
Yeah, since the late 1700s.
Yeah, right. There was a little activity back then, yeah. And you're heading for that kind of activity today, the way things are going.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So, all right. I prefer not to deal with Facebook just for philosophical purposes, but that's neither here nor there. YouTube, I think, would be a good option, maybe to start with. And I love PR press releases, PR Newswire. I've used them in the past.
I agree with you, Mark, on Facebook. They are very, very political right now. And any political overtones in any way, I get these red flags. And they have censored a lot of my ads, especially for a lot of my conservative candidates over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And they're getting worse. Ever since they banned Trump, they feel like they have this new power.
Yeah.
And if you use a political word, they have these algorithms that sense certain things. So I think you're better off to stay with the PR and the YouTube and work with those two areas to start with. And we can always investigate Facebook down the road, but you'll get the results you want from the two mediums that we discussed.
Yeah. Okay. So, so talking about numbers, to do an effect, see, I have to balance, like you said, we don't want to get more leads than we can handle, you know. Sure, we want maximum impact, but it does no good. If we could get them onto an autoresponder, which should be easy enough to do, we wouldn't have to handle them one by one. And I've got autoresponders set up with email lists already, so we could steer them to one of those. Or is that something that you do?
We can do that for you. We use a couple of them, OneHub and Calendly. And Calendly and OneHub sets up an appointment, but there's others that we can utilize to just sign people up. And that may be the approach you want to take. Depends how far you want to go. I mean, you know, if you want to have a one-on-one with certain people, that's up to you. I think if you go out and get a head of a chapter or a head of a region or something like that, you want good qualified people that are capable, that, you know, think like you do, that have an understanding of how to go about this to build their chapter. And I think there needs to be a certain amount of training. The autoresponder is fine for simple purposes, but if you want to get into a larger relationship, you may want to have that one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're doing that now, setting up state coordinators, and
Okay.
so we would feed those to those state coordinators for personal follow up.
Okay, so if you already got the state coordinator component built in, then you just want to send these leads to that person.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we would break it down by state without doing it manually with the systems that we have. Unless we
We'd
could,
like to see the systems so that they're integrated, and
yeah,
so that this lead I send you falls right into your system. And I'm sure that we can do that. Most of these programs are integrated to wherever you want to send that lead,
uh-huh,
whether it be an email or that's how I get my leads on Calendly. And my other leads are One Hub. They come directly to an email, and then I get a breakout of how they filled out the form.
okay,
So that's basically where I think we just send your leads to your state coordinator.
okay. We do have an online form that we use for volunteers, and that gets more information. Um,
We'd probably follow that. If you're happy with it, we can just pull that and use that as the form.
yeah, but then it's a matter of how do we direct the right lead to the right state coordinator. So,
I think what they would have to do is there would have to be a drop down, I guess, for each state, depending upon how many states you have. I got to think of. I don't know if there's a way to send them to different states.
I can set up a form for each state, but then they'd have to respond to the right link.
Wait a minute, I know how we can do it. We place the orders per state.
Uh-huh.
So if it's an Alabama order, I use that as an example because there's a lot of people in Alabama that would be signing up tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know how they think over there. But I've been there. I spent a lot of time there. I had clients there. But maybe we just run an Alabama campaign, and Alabama automatically goes to Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And California goes to California. And vice versa.
Yeah, just run the campaigns by state. So you
Yeah.
can select your demographics in YouTube, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll go through keywords, and I think generally we're going to probably be talking in terms of conservatives. We're going to probably be talking in terms of people that care about government. We'll have a whole list of keywords. I'll give you some keyword selections.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of weed them out and say, no, I don't want this, I don't want that. You don't want to have too many keywords because sometimes you get too many and you got to be careful because certain, government, for example, maybe a guy that wants to be a teacher and teach a government class. Weird things like that come about.
Yeah.
So you and I would have to go through them, but I'll give you some suggestions to get it started, and then you can just start narrowing it down. If we get bad leads sometimes, and we do, what I do, by the way, is I target the upper 10% income. When I first started doing this, I was doing the upper 20%. And ever since I went to top 10%, I'm getting a much better quality clientele. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And how Google knows how much money people are worth is another story. But apparently they have a way of knowing everything.
Yeah, they know what size your underwear is.
Yeah, exactly. Because you bought underwear. You bought underwear through them, and they know.
What was the code on that? What was your credit card? Oh gosh.
Oh God! If we knew all the things that they do know about us, it would be scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's certainly a very reasonable proposal. I have no issues with that. Some people take the attitude, "Oh, I can't do that because I don't have the money." My attitude is, "Well, how much money do I need to do it? Now let's go find it." So,
yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do. If I like the idea, there's always a way, right?
Yeah, find a way, find a way. So, we're at the point now where we're just getting off the ground, and we've got over $200 million in damages pending in lawsuits right now. So hopefully before long, money won't be an issue. But
Wow.
and that's just growing, by the day. The problem is these courts are so damn corrupt. You can't get them to follow the law. But
Well,
that's another
yeah.
another issue. We're in the process of trying to get some judges arrested right now through the federal courts and the federal marshals. So yeah, a lot of our messaging is definitely going to be against the narrative, you know, but it's all for law and truth and justice. That's
Well,
that's it.
that's
So
the key. We want to make sure that you know we do everything by the book. We don't
yeah,
deviate. We don't cross over the line. Your testimonials are going to be really important to give credibility.
okay,
Uh, and that video that you had on the website, were those cases that you guys were involved in?
yes,
Okay, good. Because those are pretty significant. And I would love to have been able to expand on those. And if we do a video, expand on each one of them and say, in 2020, so and so was indicted for laundering money or whatever,
yeah,
whatever the issues are,
uh huh,
and then talk a little bit about each one of them, and then maybe get some of the testimonials from some of the chapter heads,
uh huh,
state coordinators to do a testimonial. This adds credibility to have real people on it. We got
yeah,
to talk about how we're going to develop these messages.
uh huh, uh huh. Yeah, we can get that, no problem. Just a couple of short video clips,
Yeah,
have them go
yeah,
on for 15 seconds or something, no big deal.
yeah. I'll write them. We just got to get the video. Got to get somebody to shoot the video, edit the video, but they'll go according to my script,
Okay.
and you'll approve it. But I'll write it, and then you'll look at it and approve it or change it, and then we'll get an announcer to do the voiceover, or even an on-camera person, whichever way we decide to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's let me work out a game plan here so that we can get started. I'm all for it.
Okay.